Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be discussing whether to sell or hold the Kobe 6 Dodgers and why that is. The Kobe 6 Dodgers drop tomorrow, May 30th for $180. They'll drop at 10 a.m. Eastern Time on Nike sneakers and other retailers too. The Kobe isn't the only profitable drop inbound though, and I'm not just talking about sneakers. Guys, if you haven't started selling Pokemon already, you're missing out. Check out my beginner's guide to selling on my other channel, Endurance Pokemon, if you want to get started. Don't miss this opportunity. It's not going to be here forever. Anyway, these drop for $180, and there's going to be 42,000 pairs dropping on Nike US alone, which is pretty good for a Kobe. In order to determine if the Kobe 6 Dodger will be a fruitful hold, we will be covering an estimated range of what the sneaker will settle at after the drop, and also when shipments come in, essentially the pairs going into circulation, whether they're expected to increase post-drop or even continue to decrease, along with how much specifically over specific periods of time, and finally, what type of margin are we looking at for these in terms of holding? Not the retail to resale initial margin, but rather the holding margin over X period of time. Basically, even if they go up, are they going to be worth your time? The ROI. Kicking it off, let's discuss the estimated range that these should be settling at. Total stock for Nike US alone is 42,000 pairs. For reference, that's just a bit higher than the What the Kobe 8, which had around 32,000 pairs plus a couple thousand on the shock drop restock. By the way, we posted the early info for that shock drop and all other shock drops inside Endurance, and more will be coming soon, so consider joining if you want early info for these types of things. Links in the description below. They're also just barely higher stock than the 38,000 pairs we saw on the recent All-Star Kobe 6 in February, which sells for about $300 currently for reference. While stock is higher than most Kobe releases, demand is also higher. Not only is the Kobe 6 the most highly demanded Kobe model, but this is a highly desired colorway too, both aesthetically and for collecting purposes. This is a pretty big deal. So despite the relatively high stock, the very high demand should still allow for these to be profitable in all sizes. Currently, sizes 8 to 12 in men's are an average of $283. At a retail of $180, you should be able to profit for these with or without tax. If you do have tax though, focus on the larger sizes for sure. Now, after they drop, we often see an impulsivity effect where the prices of sneakers jump 5 to 10% on average post-drop. With the high demand that these have and the only slightly higher stock than the white All-Star pair, which is selling for about $300, I think it's reasonable to expect a 5% jump in value on these. Demand is higher on these than on the All-Star Kobe's, and proportionally, the stock isn't higher enough to warrant this much lower prices in my opinion. This would hypothetically leave the post-drop average at about $297. So some large sizes should actually end up over $300 if this ends up being the case. But now let's discuss what the price will look like once these shipments go out in the 2 to 3 week range when all the pairs are in circulation. Normally, we see a 10% decrease in value on general releases. I don't think it's going to be any different this time. Assuming the usual 10% decrease, these could end up settling as low as $267 on average, still allowing for all sizes to be profitable. But at this price, if you have tax, you may want to focus on the larger sizes for the upper end of that average. Now that the average price range at those points in time are evident, let's discuss whether they're expected to increase from the post-shipment prices or even continue to decrease. While it looks like recent Kobe 6s or even Kobe's in general haven't been increasing consistently in value like they used to, it's pretty clear that the value of prior Kobe 6s are significantly higher than these though. Unfortunately, that in itself doesn't exactly mean that these are going to appreciate to those rates. I think it's pretty likely we see these increase to the value of the All-Star Kobe's to slightly more than that. But hypothetically, if they don't get lower after shipments, then I'd expect more. But hypothetically, if they don't decrease in value after the shipments go out, like I just mentioned I'm expecting, then in that case, I'd expect more of a plateau for quite a while, but not a decrease. Finally, regarding the hold margin on these, the ROI, basically, even if they do go up, are they going to be worth your time or not? If these hypothetically do get as low as $267 by the time you get your pair, and they increase to slightly above the All-Star prices, that would be about a 15 to 20% ROI, which is decent, but it's nothing too crazy though. And if these don't end up as low as $267, then there's even less room for a good ROI, and they're even worse of a hold. Overall, I'd rate these just at an average hold of 5 out of 10. These should appreciate, they should make you some more money, but the amount may not be worth your use of capital. there may be better opportunities. Remember, it's not about how great or hyped the shoe is, it's about what opportunity there is for a good ROI. For example, I rated the Nigels a 6.5 out of 10 hold, well above average hold, and those have already increased over $100 in value, and it hasn't been that long. If you're watching before the drop, good luck, and remember, sneakers are not the only way to make money in this market. Pokemon is really popping right now, and the best group doing it by far is definitely Endurance. I suggest you check us out with the link in the description below, or at least just watch my video on how to get started selling, because I just want to see you guys make money. Other than that, though, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you later.